Alright guys, this is Normal Central coming back at you on the YouTube video, and I really appreciate all the love and support on my social media accounts as well as my YouTube channel. So like I said, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's comment your thoughts on what the video is today. And guess what? I have some great news, and that's Ta'Shawn Poole, a four-star safety out of Macon, Georgia. We had discussed this a couple of days ago. I was super worried about Georgia getting involved in that recruitment. They had recently got a late official visit with Georgia. And man, as a Florida State fan, you're thinking, wow, Georgia's going to get involved there. It's going to be like a KJ Bolden situation, and it's going to be a real big mess for Florida State. But gratefully and thankfully to everything, that Ta'Shawn Poole decided to come to Florida State and announce his commitment on Friday. And I think that's a big get for Florida State. He was picking between us and Tennessee at one point. It was going to be a two-team race. Georgia got involved late, and now all of a sudden now it looks like we can really get in the factor of everything else with Florida State. You got some great guys there. You got Ta'Shawn Poole. You got Sam June. You also got Sean Green as well, Jaden Miles, Zachary Johnson, Albright as well. There's a lot of guys that you can really turn to, and it's really looking good for Florida State. Obviously, they're still 40th in the recruiting rankings. I understand that. It's going to be a little bit more of a smaller class from what Norvell was talking about before. But you got 16 guys. You got a lot of talent in this class and a lot of things that are going well. I had posted it on Twitter just talking about this recruiting class. It actually has some good pieces, and I was actually kind of surprised that Florida State fans were being a little bit more negative. Because the thing is, too, is I figured out that Florida State would actually be a little bit lower in the recruiting rankings because obviously Norvell is kind of on the hot seat discussion right now, but the front office has done a phenomenal job in terms of getting guys that they think are very attainable. You needed a safety in this class. You got two really good ones in Zachary Johnson as well as Ta'Shawn Poole. That is a dynamic duo for days that Evan Cooper can have a great time with in terms of getting those guys up there. And a lot of times I hated whenever we brought cornerbacks in to try to play safety. These are two true safeties that I think you're going to really like in this defense, and it's going to be a massive gift for what Florida State brings to the table. Obviously, you want to worry about recruiting rankings. You want to have a top 10 ranking, but obviously, if you're going to have a smaller class, you're probably not going to see that top 20, or you're probably going to see it in the top 20. May not be top 15, maybe around 15. But I do think Florida State's going to have a lot of great kids that they're going to be involved with. But I do think Poole was a great get for Florida State, a top 100 prospect out of Georgia's backyard almost, and it's a guy that you really think that it's going to be a positive for Florida State going forward there. But I'm just super excited to see Florida State getting some kind of momentum and everything kind of turn the right direction because John Garrett's done a great job in the front office and just the way that the staff is kind of brought about in terms of not letting Norvell do too much, being able to let him just coach, call his offense, do the things he needs to do without having to worry about the recruiting prospect. Obviously, Norvell's involved in recruitments. Obviously, he talks to these kids and wants them to do really well. But the other thing and the factor of it is that Norvell's not going to be putting his hands in here, putting his hands in recruiting and transfer portal and everything else. I just think Norvell's going to be able to focus on just coaching this season and really doing a thing. Now, I really do think that this season, and I'll kind of talk about this in a later video, can kind of remind me of the 22 season. It can be a productive win. You can get an early win against SMU, maybe lose to an Alabama, kind of figure out maybe you have a difficult jail with the three-game stretch of Louisville, Miami, and Clemson, and then hopefully have a strong finish against Boston College, Pitt, Florida, and NC State. It's easier said than done, but I do think that Florida State has a good chance to have a productive season. And if they think they're going to have a season like they would, and I know the hype around Ashton Daniels with Mike Norvell is a bit like you're rolling your eyes, not really knowing what you have because you saw this with Thomas Castellanos last year. But Ta'Shawn Poole has to see a sign of life in this Florida State team, and I definitely think that he sees it, just like a lot of other fans see it, but you don't want to believe it right now. Obviously, with you going 7-17 in your last 2 years, you don't want to think that. You've lost and you've had 6 losing seasons in the last 8 years as a Florida State fan. You want to see production. You want to see the talk end, and Norvell talked about this in the ACC kickoff. We don't want to hear about what the potential of this team is. We want to see actions. We want to see you beating Alabama. We want to see you beating SMU, Louisville, Miami, Clemson, other teams like that. You want to see that productivity, especially winning on the road, handling adversity. I think Ta'Shawn Poole sees that there is an effort to being able to do that. Now, will Florida State be able to turn it around? Will he be able to commit over to Georgia later on or Tennessee or whatever the case is later on in signing day? We'll definitely see because recruiting's all over the place. But right now, though, this is a great get for Florida State, and it should be celebrated in terms of getting a top 100 prospect that I honestly thought that Florida State was losing traction on. But I really appreciate all the love and support so far. Be sure to show some love on the video. I'm trying to get my YouTube channel up as quickly as I possibly can. I know that we're getting closer and closer to the start of the season on August 29th. So follow the journey. Follow everything and just give me some content ideas if you want to see anything out there. I'm always open to making any kind of content ideas out there for everyone to enjoy. And I appreciate all the love and support. And as always, go Noles.